The magic of anime fights and battle scenes is that they're not constricted to pesky things like budget or laws of physics like live action movies are. Because of this, we often see incredible battles involving giant mecha robots, magical spells, and swords the size of Yujiro Hanma's dingling. What's incredible to think about though, is that even though we can get such spectacular battle scenes with the artistic freedom that anime provides, some of the best fight scenes out there are still the classic bare-knuckle, macho a mano, taijutsu, whatever you want to call it, hand-to-hand fight scenes. Don't get me wrong, I love seeing Captain Levi and the scouts zip through the city and forest with their maneuver gear and slice up massive titans as much as the next guy. And nothing really beats Endeavor going plus mo freaking ultra in the latest My Hero finale, but there's just this certain beauty and art form that comes with smoothly animated martial arts and the maneuverability of the human form. I don't know whether it's because of the effort that the animators have to put in to stay within the laws of biomechanics, or whether it's because it hits a sense of relatability that these characters are moving in a way that we could, in at least some sense, but either way, when done right, these battles are always incredible to watch. So without further ado, let's dive right into my picks for the top hand-to-hand combat scenes in anime. Watching the battle unfold between Madara Uchiha and the allied ninja forces was honestly surreal. We have this mysterious ninja character who the show has been alluding to at that point in time literally for years. I was a wee little child when I first heard the name Madara Uchiha, and by the time I finally saw this dude in action, I was a grown-ass adult. It was the ultimate decade-long build-up that exploded in a display of martial arts that did not disappoint. Seeing Madara effortlessly dispatch hundreds of shinobi as if they were but little Padawan youngling Genin cherubs was satisfying to watch, to say the least. And that's all before he even unleashed any of his actual jutsu techniques. Overall, the battle was obviously great enough to add to the history books, but I did decide to put it way down at the bottom of this list for a simple reason. The quality of the actual animation itself could have been better. I get that the studio is probably saving money for the more important fights a few episodes down the line, and the quality hand-to-hand combat scenes are notoriously expensive to animate, but considering the historical context and the gravitas of this battle, I would have appreciated a more fluid frames and better shading to the degree that we've seen in some of the other fights. But even without that, at the end of the day, this fight was still pretty dang great. For this next fight on our list, we're going a little bit back in time to the classics to take a look at Spike vs. Vincent in Cowboy Bebop. If you really stop to think about it, this fight is one of the greatest works of art in anime history. Let's look at a few factors here. 1. This fight has absolutely no magic powers. No motion blur cutaway scenes, no flashes of light with an ending pose that shows a samurai slash after the fact. None of that. This is just pure, raw, hand-to-hand battle between hairless gorillas using nothing but good old fisticuffs. 2. Just look at the detail in every single frame. The animation is just so fluid, and you can literally see the beads of sweat or saliva flowing from the characters after the impacts are made. 3. The choreography is nothing short of genius. The animators didn't have a lot of tools to work with here, again, since there's no weapons or magic powers. They had to just think about how to make this fight exciting using nothing but body parts. And 4, and this is the kicker, this was animated way back in the early 2000s, super long ago. Even with all these factors, this fight scene blows away much of what comes out of animation studios even today, decades later. The two fighters make full use of their surroundings as the battle spills over to different surrounding areas, and the context from the episodes leading up to this in the show make this an exciting and thrilling fight to remember.
It's all the same to me. I just came here to pay back the favor I owe ya.
Coming in at number 8, we have Saitama vs. Boros in One Punch Man. When it comes to the greatest One Punch Man battles of all time across both seasons, I have to say that this one takes the cake. What made this fight so spectacular and unique is that Saitama punched his opponent Boros, and Boros still lived. Even after Saitama unleashed a barrage of attacks that could likely obliterate any anime character in existence, consecutive normal punches, Boros still survived and fought on. While the style of this fight is completely different than our previous pick of Cowboy Bebop, this one including flashing lights, explosions, and even Saitama getting hit so hard that he landed on the moon, the The fight was one of the most enjoyable to watch that I've ever seen. One of the main reasons for this is because it lasted more than just a few seconds. It actually lasted a lot more than that. I think close to 10 minutes if I'm not mistaken. That's 10 minutes of pure unadulterated One Punch Man action against the strongest foe that we've seen to date. Considering that it was the last big battle of the first season of One Punch Man, I was honestly on the edge of my seat wondering if this could actually be the battle where Saitama has to get serious to meet a challenge. And technically it was, since he put an end to it with a move from his Serious collection, Serious Punch. Such incredible power can only be achieved through the grueling training regimen of 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, 100 squats, and running 10 kilometers a day.
Nomu, Kurogiri, kill him. I'll deal with the children.
Taking the number 7 spot, we have Almight versus Nomu from My Hero Academia. This fight was probably the scene that put My Hero on my list of top 10 anime of all time. If I'm remembering correctly, I think it was one of the first times that we really got to see Almight in true action, where he trades gargantuan blows against the monster Nomu. My favorite part was when Shigaraki was all like, "Weren't you listening? He's got shock absorption abilities." And Almight was just like, "Yeah, what about it, little punk?" and proceeds to just wail on Nomu like Muhammad Ali in a punching bag. Paired with the epic soundtrack and All Might's monologue imparting sage wisdom on his foe as he absolutely crumples him, this fight inspired all the characters watching him almost as much as it inspired me to hit the gym. The sheer strength and confidence of All Might in his rare battle form makes him one of my top 5 favorite anime characters of all time. And if I ever saw a Kickstarter campaign to help fund Marvel's temporary purchase to use the rights to All Might and bring him into the Marvel Cinematic Universe and have him square up against the Hulk, or for him to go to DC and knuckle up with Superman, I would break open my piggy bank with the Detroit Smash and yell, "Plus Ultra, take my goddamn money."
That's why he's the most amazing hero in the entire world!
Now we go from one blockbuster hit to the next. Making its way to number 6, it's Eren versus Annie in her female Titan form. The context leading up to this fight was legendary, because this wasn't the first time that Eren and Annie have engaged in fisticuffs. We've seen them scuffle multiple times in the first season of Attack on Titan, but never with the stakes as high as these. We start with seeing some of the most flawless, streamlined teamwork and maneuvering ability from the Levi squad as they chip away at Annie, and it seems like the battle is almost done. But in classic Attack on Titan fashion, nothing is ever that easy, and Annie makes a surprise comeback. Eren sees the Levi squad get turned into IHOP pancakes, causing him to enter full rage mode and square off against Big Annie full-on animal style. What I really like about these Titan battles, and this is something that the show does really well in my opinion, not just in this Titan fight, but really in all of them, is it looks like they're consulting with perhaps real martial arts or jiu-jitsu experts, as the moves that they use and the way that they use their bodies to control their opponent seems very detailed and believable. Although the female Titan comes out as the victor in the end, this show isn't known for its happy ending, and the fight was still incredible to watch as it solidified the female Titan as the major threat that needed to be taken down that season. At the midway point, we arrive at Gon vs Hisoka from Hunter x Hunter. I think what really made this fight so impactful and memorable is the context of the relationship between these two characters leading up to this point, and how it related to the overall dynamic that continues to play out throughout the show. Hisoka is this adversarial clown that throughout the show proves to continuously be looming in the shadows, always presenting an ever-existing threat and greater challenge no matter how successful our protagonists get. The two had a scuffle earlier in the series where Gon presented no more of a challenge to Hisoka than a honey badger is challenged by an Asiago cheese bagel. But the scale seems to be much more balanced this next time around. In true Gon style, the boy initiates the fight by making the first strike, and the two trade blows back and forth, with the arena itself taking the most punishment. With Hisoka being one of the toughest fighters in the entire series, it doesn't come unexpected when our protagonist is eventually defeated. But I think he gave the clown a much bigger challenge than he or any of us really expected, and it nicely sets the stage for the continuing build-up between these characters as the series progresses further.
そうか、君強化系だろ。
なんでわかるの？
Taking the number 4 spot, we have Achilles versus Chiron in Fate Apocrypha. When people think about the Fate series, the first series that they typically think of is either Fate Stay Night or my personal favorite, Fate Zero. But an underrated gem that sometimes gets overlooked is Fate Apocrypha. This version of the series gave us some epic battles in the unique 7-on-7 war between heroic spirits, and within that lineup we have one of the best hand-to-hand fight scenes in the entire Fate franchise. The Archer of Black and the Rider of Red square off in a battle between mentor and mentee, and as we learn the context of the father figure-like role that Chiron played in Achilles' life, it makes each punch and blow emotional and impactful, sucking the viewer into a very well animated fight. The end result grants Achilles a well-deserved victory in his journey of personal growth over his former mentor. I think that the only thing that could have possibly made this fight better is if the wizards over at Ufotable were the ones to actually animate it. Moving into our top 3, we have an oldie but goodie, Rock Lee versus Gaara in Naruto. I think this is one of the most classic and memorable fights in all of anime history, and it's no surprise that it consistently ranks on fans' top 10 lists of best fights in the Naruto franchise. I think what cemented this battle into the Anime Fight Hall of Fame, and what really sets it apart from so many other anime fights out there, is that it tells a story. When Rock Lee is first introduced, he's shown to provide some comic relief, but also seems to be able to give Sasuke a run for his money in the little skirmish that they had. And this is significant because Sasuke has the coveted Sharingan eyes, which the series makes a big deal of earlier in the beginning of the series. And then Lee makes a great quote when he says, "Your eyes mean nothing if your body can't keep up," as he moves around with lightning quick speed. Fast forward a bit, and we start to learn more about Rock Lee's backstory, learning he has absolutely no talent for ninjutsu, nor does he have any advantageous bloodlines like the Uchiha Sharingan. He's very much this scrappy underdog character whose toolkit is not much different than a normal human, which I think a lot of us can relate to, and I think a lot of us enjoy for similar reasons to why a lot of people like Batman more than other superheroes. Now, if we pivot to Gaara, his character is literally the polar opposite of Rock Lee. He's this cold, calculating, he has these dark bags under his eyes, and just straight up murders people during the Chunin exam. He has this air of mystery around him, and he carries around this sand gourd that allows him to use some pretty damn incredible powers. So when these two face off, it's really like the ultimate battle between an underdog who's as close to a regular, relatable human as an anime about ninja can have, against an ultra powerful, ultra gifted antagonist. And each stage of the fight shows us more and more about the struggles and adversity Lee had to overcome to get to where he is today, making us root for him more and more each episode. I'd say that the only part of the fight that I didn't like was the fact that Lee lost, but I understand why Kishimoto took that route, and I respect. Still though, not only was this one of my favorite fights that involved taijutsu, it's really one of my favorite battles of all time to this day. For the runner-up number 2 spot, we have Midoriya versus Bakugo in My Hero Academia. Throughout the first couple seasons, Bakugo is depicted as this brainless bully whose motivations to be at the top seem to be quite shallow. Even in the arc where he gets kidnapped by the League of Villains, there are many people, both show characters and show fans, who think that this might be where Bakugo goes so far as to join the villain side, just given his brash personality so far in the show. Right before the key turning point, though, where the heroes bust in to save him, we see Aizawa, really refuting this concern to the reporters at the press conference, claiming that Bakugo is trying harder than anybody to become the top hero, and if anyone considers otherwise, they're sorely mistaken. This view of Bakugo's true motivations proceeds to make short and infrequent but powerful displays, including in this fight, where Bakugo spills his emotional guts about his frustration and feelings of guilt that his kidnapping is what led to All Might's downfall, and that he looks up to All Might no less than Midoriya. After this emotional rant, I think Midoriya finally truly understands Bakugo's feelings and switches from his typical persona of, hey, let's stop fighting and be friends, to, hey, okay, I hear you and I understand you. You're as serious about surpassing All Might as I am, and I'll respect your quest for strength and take it seriously as a rival and an equal. And then he proceeds to go all out in their skirmish. I think that this evolution in character development between these two rivals as a result of this battle is the key factor in what drove it to the runner-up spot for the top hand-to-hand fights in anime, in my opinion.
イトを終わらせちまってんだ。俺が強くてヴィランにさらわれなんかしやげりゃあんなことになってなかった。
And finally, the fight that stands at the very top above all others, we have Kakashi versus Obito in Naruto. I don't think that there's any surprise with this one. Not only was the build-up to this fight decades in the making in the show's timeline, with Kakashi and Obito being childhood rivals similar to Naruto and Sasuke, but the allusions to this fight have also been hinted at for over a decade in real lifetime as well. The immense history between these two characters in both of these senses makes it a battle where most other series just can't compete simply based on that factor alone. The fight was not only beautifully animated, but beautifully directed as well, showing parallels in the jutsu combinations between the fighters, matching their fight combos from when they were kids. And given the mini arc that was dedicated to their past and the love triangle between them and Rin, it really humanizes both characters and makes the fight emotional all around. The combination of all these factors, and many others, such as the use of two halves of the same Sharingan since one of Kakashi's eyes was a gift from childhood Obito, makes this the greatest, mostly hand-to-hand battle of all time, and likely the foreseeable future, hands down.
今のオビトを殺すこと。
That's it for today's list of top 10 hand-to-hand anime battles. Which one of the listed fights was your favorite? And do you think that there are any fights that I left out that should have been included?
ダメだ。どうしても答え出ないや。
I'm genuinely curious to hear your opinion, so please comment below the video and let me know what you think. As usual, if you enjoy my content and want to help support me in producing more content like this, please leave a like, subscribe, leave a comment below, and also hit that bell icon to be notified of my future videos. There's a lot more to come, and I hope to see you in the next video. I'm Alex Alvern, and I'll see you next time.